Hey everyone, this is the final video in the CB race bike build series. I've got a couple of small jobs left to do on the bike, but I'll get straight into showing you the first fire up of the bike and also me making it to do my ACU race license. But just before I do, I'll show you a quick recap of the bike, what it looked like when it first started. So it's a 2001 CB500 sport model, and here you can see it in the standard blue road trim. Come quite a long way since I've been doing these videos, and I'm really pleased to be able to show you the finished thing. So I'll get straight into it. Cheers.
About to fill the radiator now and all the water system. I'll tear that off. At this point, I'm hoping that I've got everything nicely tied down and there's no leaking pipes. I'll soon find out, put it that way. Put that in there, and I'm going to really gently try and slowly pour some water in. So I'm using deionized water. Try not to get it everywhere. So yeah, I'll continue to just fill that up so it reaches the very top. I'll be able to see it in there. I'll top the coolant overflow up, probably about 3/4, something like that. And then just gotta say, go around squeezing all the pipes. After that, I'm going to start topping up the oil. There's no oil in the engine still, so I'll sort the oil out. Right, so I finally reached the top of the water. So I'm just going to go around and just squeeze all the hoses everywhere. Just filled the coolant bottle up as well, as you can see, so I'm not going crazy with it, because if it needs it, it'll pull it through. If it doesn't, it'll dump it in, so it needs to have a bit of overflow either side. So that should be all right, I think, for now, and then I'll top it up. Obviously, usually what happens when the coolant level, when you start the bike, the coolant level will drop, and then end up having to top it up a touch more anyway. Got my tank off, and I'm about to take the tap off here to be able to do, there's a bit of a modification you can do to the tap. So that's the vacuum hose, and that's normally connected on the bike, just show you, to there on the side of the carb. Now I've put a 5mm M5 bolt into that. Just, it's only a tiny bolt, but just it blocks the hole that's there up, and that vacuum hose usually goes from that and then into the tank, like I say, which is that one. And the reason you do that is because you can eliminate this pipe, and inside of there you have to take it apart, and there's a diaphragm, which I've got a new kit for it, which is this. That's the diaphragm, that big disc looking thing, and then there's a spring there as well. And I'll show you when I take it apart, but you're basically switching the spring's location, so it's pushing, instead of holding it open, it pushes it closed, so that it eliminates the need to have this. I'm also doing this not just to do that modification, but I'm also doing it because the tank's had fuel in it for, well, I've absolutely no idea. So I want all of it out. I want to give it a flush out whilst I'm at it, and it's easiest to do this whilst that tap's off, and I can make sure I can swill some fresh petrol through there. Well, it's a fairly hefty sized nut on that, so I'm gonna have to roll out the big spanners. Hopefully one of these will do it. Please fit, please fit. Oh yes, right, I'll give that one a go. Right, so as you'd expect, I've just cracked that nut, and I've still got fuel dripping, so I'll let that just drain out a little bit. I'm trying to rest it on the side of this box. Well, that's the O-ring that's just dropped down, so I'll be replacing that. That looks gritty. Yeah, that's definitely, I'm pleased I've done this, because that's full of grit and muck. Alright, well, I'm going to get that nice and clean. Probably normal, I'd imagine, but it's just rust particles of dirt as well, isn't it? I don't know if you can see, there's loads of grit and dirt come out of that. I'm going to keep just swirling it around for a little bit before I start trying to sort that out. You can see around that it's not actually that bad. I'm going to take these screws off. Oh, that's how it comes off. Well, straight away, I don't know if I've just done that, but that doesn't look right. So it should look like that. I don't know if I just caught that by accident. So I'm just going to try and prise that apart gently down that line. Stab myself. There we go. So that's the spring there. Right, so that was sat obviously against that. keep dropping the spring. Sat pushing against that, and I think the idea is you switch them around. So just need to work out how this all comes apart. Alright, well that's everything that's inside it. So that was inside there, and then you can see it looks a bit on the, like, well, you can see dirt and crusty stuff there, and that was sandwiched in there like that. So those are going to get replaced because I think, like I say, I think they've had the day, haven't they? Put that to one side. So I'm guessing I've got to put the new ones back into that. That's the little, it's like a little plastic washer or something, which was on it as well. And yeah, that's one side, the other. Alright, well there we go. So you can just see the silver piece in between. So I've got that in, and like I said, these inner ridges are facing, you can't see really on this one here, but they're both facing against each other. And like I said, I think the idea is to sandwich them in between this, either side of this, and it makes a seal there into that groove, and it makes a seal there into that groove. So I'm going to get that into there now. What I've done is I've put that diaphragm piece in. So that's the new one that side, that's the new one that side. I don't need this piece anymore, because the idea now is you put the spring on the opposite side of this bit so that it sits against that. So it's pushing the diaphragm downwards and against this piece here, closing that up, which blocks that tiny little hole there, which is where the vacuum pipe goes to the engine. I put that spring inside there now, so it locates itself into that, and then, like I said, pushes against that, and then I'll screw it all back together. Right, well that's it rebuilt. I've just changed these bolts out for some new ones, but that would just locate into there like that, and then you'd have that over the top, and there's like a little O-ring or something in there that it just slots into, and that's pretty much it, like that. So at least that's nice and clean now. There's no holes in it or anything, and like I said, there was no grit, which was one of the main issues. I had loads and loads of grit on there, so I should be able to put that back in now. Right, time to top up the oil. I'm just using some Castrol Power 1030, and it's the semi-synthetic stuff. So 3.2 litres of that to put in. Obviously the engine's totally empty. There's just the assembly sort of oil that they put in there when they rebuild it. But it needs, like I say, a full top up. Obviously a brand new filter on there as well. So yeah, 3.2 litres I think it is. So I'll get this stuff put in. Oh, I might have to just concentrate here. That's it. I'll just let that finish draining off, and then that's that job done. Then I need to hook up some auxiliary fuel systems. So as you can see, I've made this up, which is just literally a walk-in drinking bottle, aluminium, and then I drilled the top, put a vent in there, and then drilled the bottom, put a tap in there, so I can connect an 8mm hose to the bottom of that, turn the tap on and off nice and easily, and I just use some JB welder to lock that in place to seal it off. So what I'll do is I'll hang that up, run a hose from there down to this hose here, through the fuel filter there, that's mainline fuel filter, and obviously that'll go into the carbs, and then yeah, that's fuel setup. Just means that I don't have to have the tank on, and means that less likely to miss any leaks or anything like that, so I can keep an eye on all the bits around the bike, check that there's no leaks anywhere. So there's a chance to be able to check all the electrics work first, make sure I've hooked that up correctly. If everything goes okay, I'll book the bike into OTC Dyno, which is in northwest Liverpool area, and hopefully I can get it running on the dyno, and he'll spend, I think he said, about an hour making it do nice and steady, constant speeds, going through the gearbox, starting off, like I say, real steady, and gradually picking up pace, and then maybe a power run at the end if we get chance and if everything goes as planned. But by the end of it, it'll have done about 30 miles on the dyno, which should bed that engine in nicely, so that the next time when I actually get to track it, hopefully Brands Hatch or another track day, I can go straight out with it and yeah, use it as I normally would. As you can see, I've got my fuel in there, just hung up, and I've got a nice little stop tap there that I'm going to just gently crack open, which is going to allow it to drop down into my filter there, so I can see there's a tiny bit in already where I just checked that it wasn't leaking. So once that rises up, obviously the fuel will start going into the carbs, and I'll be on this side obviously, and I'll just flick the switch and hopefully good to go. I mean, I have connected the battery up and we have got power onto the dash, so it's starting to read the temperature of the water already. So yeah, it's quite a cold day, so that goes into there, so that's working all right. So now it's just literally a fire up, but I'll do that in a second. Turn that off for now. Position the camera so that you can see it, and this generally is the first fire up of the bike. Right, well, as you heard, that didn't go as smooth as I was hoping. So the engine's starting up, which is obviously good, and it's running, but you heard the revs just go really high, as though I was like holding the throttle open or something. So after speaking with the guy that did the carbs and the engine for me, and we think it's something to do with something in the carbs is basically opening and staying open or getting stuck. So the next step is going to have to be take the carbs back off to have a look at trying to figure out what that is, and obviously it's a bit of an elimination process trying to figure out what it could be. Yeah, not ideal start, but I'll get there. It's just part of it. Like I said, at least it actually fired up, which is always good. And yeah, I'll do that, take them off, and then we'll have a look, see what we find, and then obviously I'll put them back in and then go back to firing it up again.
So after taking the carbs off, I decided to take the bike to OTC Dyno, mainly because I was running out of time. I need to get the carbs fixed, I need to get the bike ready for the ACU license the following weekend. So when he took the carbs apart, we replaced the seals that are inside there. I'd used aftermarket ones in there originally, and that probably wasn't helping, so I've put in some genuine Honda ones, which hopefully will give me less issues in the future. So the actual problem with the carbs was the pilot jet was overfueling, so it was allowing fuel to come through on one side compared to the other and overfuel, and yeah, that's what was causing us the issue, which is why it was idling really high straight away. So it was a relatively simple fix, and the guy who did it is a bit of a specialist with carbs, so hopefully now I shouldn't have any issues with it. Eventually, once I've ridden the bike at Brands Hatch, I will have to go back and get the bike set up, because he's just done it by eye for the minute and got it as accurate as he can. But it would be nice to get it back on the dyno and then see if we can do any further tweaks to basically make it run as smooth as possible. There's not a lot you can do with it being a Thundersport bike, but the goal will just be to get it to run as smooth as I possibly can, and then I'll be happy with that. So I'll play the short clip of the bike on the dyno.
Today I'm having a look at doing some measurements of the different parts of the fairing, so not the tank and all those bits. I'll start with the front, and what I mean is to do some design work. So I've got this stuff, which it's like a massive roll of masking tape really. What I'll have to do, and it's the way I did my other bike, which I'll show on the screen now. So all that design work, all that kind of vinyl bannering and all that lot was all done the same way. So what I'll do is I'll use that masking tape down there, and I'll stick it on the different shapes of the bike. So for taking the mudguard, for example, I'll stick a massive piece across there, and then I draw on literally shapes to mask a template that I want. Right, so I've just got I know that just looks like I've just slapped it on there, but what I'll do is I'll just start drawing some sort of design on there, and I don't really have an idea exactly what I'm after, but just after I think just some shapes more than anything, so that it's not just stickers. And I don't like printed vinyl either. I like just flat shaped vinyl. I literally will just use a pencil and start trying to do some sort of design work on this. Right, well, there's another one. So as you saw, I just freehand draw them on, and like I say, it might not be the sort of to everybody's taste, but once that's cut out and stuck on along with other things on the bike, it just creates a bit of a, like I say, it's just a simple design really. So yeah, it should look all right once it's done, I think. Right, so now I've stuck them down to my kitchen floor, as you can see. I know you're probably thinking, well, that looks so crap, how's that going to work? But all I need, like I said before, is a rough idea of shape and scale. So I'll just literally stick a ruler alongside it, and then I know that that piece, for example, imagine a straight line down there and down there, measures about 16 centimeters, and obviously I'll do the height, and then that gives me a rough idea of scale for working on the computer with, and I'll just literally trace this shape. Yes, I am up in my loft today, as you can see the loft hatch over there. I just do this out the way of the wife, and then she doesn't get annoyed with me taking over the space. It gets real messy real quick doing this. Anyway, that technique is what I've used to do this, and that's the sort of style I'm going for, and I did exactly the same. That number I've designed myself, so I'll show you how I did it on the computer, and I'll show you basically how I went from creating a standard number and making it just a little bit different. So yeah, that's obviously what I'm going to be going for, that kind of look, and you can imagine that on the rest of the bike should stand out quite a lot. Should look quite nice. Obviously I want it to be bright, so that's the whole point. We'll see how it turns out. There's a lot obviously to do. This bit took a bit of getting right, but now I've got the number. You can imagine that number on the side of there should look quite cool. I've got a lot more work to do in terms of the rest of the design, and obviously this is a massive piece, so once I get one side done, I can at least mirror it to the opposite side, and that's that piece, and then I'll move on to the tank. Another bit drawn on, so as you can see, it's following its shape down, and then it just followed the lines of the bike basically. And then what I've got here is obviously different options for cutouts if I want. I might find that when I print this out that it looks just too much when I stick it on, so I might have I could remove that piece and just keep the bottom piece. There's lots of different options. I might put some logos across the top of there. Obviously I'm gonna have a GoPro mount here as well. Right, so the next step is to literally photograph it. As you can see, I've drawn the shaping in black pen for all of them. And like I say, it's a proper budget way of doing it, but this is literally how I think most people will get a template for the bike. Most obviously just kind of put the big piece on there, draw a rough shape like that, and then they print design within it. So you've got just this massive sticker basically that just sticks on there, and likewise with the side. But obviously I'm using that technique but doing a design with it instead of just doing a big shape, because like I said, I just prefer this style. I'm all packed up in the van, as you can see. I've got my ACU license this weekend and I'm heading down to Mallory Park to be able to do it, so hopefully I'll pass it. I'm not going to bother filming it whilst I'm actually there because I've got so much to think about. I don't want to be messing around with cameras and stuff, so but yeah, just thought I'd show you a bit of the bike in the van. Yeah, quick look at the bike then. First outing. Looking absolutely immaculate, but it won't do when I'm done. There you go. Right, I've got my bib on, as you can see. Not too bad, at least it kind of matches the bike with the red. Yeah, anyway, I'm out next, so we've got the 10 o'clock group out, and then I'm at the 11 o'clock, so time to get nervous. Right, well, I've just come out after doing the licence, and well, first of all I passed, so I'm pretty bloody pleased about that. Didn't go as smooth as I was hoping it would. Did the first few laps, so you start off pretty slow. I mean, the whole thing's slow, but you start off pretty slow anyway. And obviously the idea is you're just getting used to well, I suppose the track itself, and then building up your pace, all the rest of it. And anyway, coming back in towards the end of the start of the second session, went out for the second one, got into going through the gears, obviously got towards the hairpin at Mallory, obviously, and put my foot down to change down gear, nothing there. Bloody toe peg had fallen off. So I'm frantically thinking, oh god, there's the corner. So I got to obviously stick my arm up straight away, say that I had an issue, pulled off at the hairpin. The group went past and I was thinking, oh well, that's the end of my day, I must have failed it or something. But no, the instructor said, no, you obviously did the right thing by putting your arm up, pulling off, all the rest of it. Waited for my group to go off, and then just ended up joining onto the back, and then had to pull into the pits and fix it. Anyway, after all that lot, so the instructor was they're all dead sound, and they just said to me, yeah, I've seen you riding, you're fine, I don't need to see you ride any more laps. Get it fixed and join on the back of the next group. So the 12 o'clock group that went out, I then joined them, and they did their laps, and I basically just did the race starts. But yeah, anyway, all in all, I'm pleased I passed, and I am now looking forward to Brands Hatch in a few weeks. So I'm going to go through this bike again, check everything over again. I'm going to thread lock every bolt, whether I need to or not, and yeah, just get it prepped ready. Hopefully, get myself set for a bit of racing. Well, there we go. So after 4 or 5 months of hard graft in the garage, I finally finished. So I'm pretty pleased with how it's turned out. I think I've achieved my goal of building the brightest bike that I can. I think this thing is definitely going to stand out on track, and I'm going to be seen, that's for sure. Stuck a few logos on there as well to add a bit more interest. You can see it looking super clean. I wish it would stay this clean, but it won't. So I did a few tweaks to the bike. I did put a lighter sprocket on there, so that's a Talon sprocket, which is a lot lighter than the JT one I had on there previously. So I'm all ready now for Brands Hatch, which is the first opening round of the Thundersport. It'll be the first time I've actually been to Brands Hatch, and the second time obviously ridden this bike, so I've got a lot to learn. Hopefully I can keep up with a few of the racers there and make some progress over the weekend. I'd love to know what you think to the final design. Drop me a comment and let me know your thoughts. So there we go, that's the thermostat and rev counter. I've arrived at Brands Hatch finally, so that's the setup. There's my bike and obviously the setup for the tents and stuff. There's the living quarters for the next few days. Not quite luxury, but it's not bad. Just got one of them pop-up bed things. But yeah, first time at the Brands Hatch, so we're going to be able to get on it and do some testing tomorrow. Well, I say testing, for me, it's just going to be learning the track and hopefully not coming off. There's Colin's bike. Looks nice. So I'll be following him tomorrow, trying to keep up, and he'll show us around the track. Say hello, mate.
Hello.
So yeah, I'll try and keep up with them tomorrow when I'm on the track and hopefully learn where I'm going. Giving it a run in, so I checked everything works, so hopefully we should be all good now. First time properly on a track this will be, so really looking forward to it.
Okay, well, that's it. Hope you've enjoyed the bike build. If you've stuck with me all the way through the series and you've watched all the videos, I really appreciate it. So as I said at the very start in my first video, this has all been about learning how to take a bike apart. I'd never done any of this before, so it was a massive learning curve. I've learned so much doing this that I feel that that's just as beneficial as having fun when actually riding the bike and getting to do the racing in the future. So I really appreciate all the help that everyone's given me, all the kind of comments, all the feedback and all the tips on what to do with the bike. Massively appreciated, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without those who helped me, so thanks a lot. I have had quite a lot of comments from you all over the past few months, so again, really appreciate that. It's kept me motivated to want to get the bike finished. Hopefully it's been helpful for people watching. They might have learned something as well. If you want to have a go at doing one of these yourself. Now obviously this hasn't been the cheapest way to build a race bike, and I've gone all out to build the best bike that I possibly can. You can definitely make one cheaper. You can definitely do it on a budget. You can also buy a ready-made bike that someone's done to a race standard already, which would also be cheaper. But that wasn't really the point with the build. I was trying to go all out to do the build the best I can and also learn how to do this. So in the future, if I get any problems at the track, I should in theory know how to fix it, or at least have a starting point and know the bike inside out, so that I should be able to do something with it. So anyway, thanks for watching, and drop us a comment if you want to leave your final thoughts on the bike. Really appreciate it. Hopefully if I ever do one of these again, I'll maybe document it as well. I will try to do a bit of footage from some of the races that I'll be doing over the next few months, so keep an eye out for those and I'll post them on my channel. Thanks for watching. Hopefully there'll be more videos soon. Cheers.